Do you feel like sharing some of your fear with a stranger? If so, come with me. So, for this journey into fear, I've picked up a travel guide, which is Martha Beck's Way of Integrity, based actually on Dante's Inferno and the different stages that we go through when we become lost to ourselves and get out of alignment. Here's a reference for the book if you want to get it yourself. And this is a photo of the author, a photo taken among trees, which I thought was apposite since we're about to go into the woods. But before then, the opening lines of Dante, which she opens her book with as well. In the middle of the journey of our life, I came to myself in a dark wood where the direct way was lost. What follows are the 5 symptoms given of being lost in the dark wood of error from the first section of the book, The Way of Integrity. Now, one of the first symptoms that might indicate that you are also suffering from lost in the wood syndrome is a sense of purposelessness. The sense that what you're doing in life has no real rhyme or reason. And you may even have shut that fact out to yourself so that you're only sort of subliminally aware that that's the case. At the center of the maze of confusion is a choice, and that choice is one of the heart, as represented by this tarot card, the Seven of Cups, in which we see a silhouette looking at these mirages in his own mind and wondering and trying to ascertain if within himself what his heart's true desire is power or spiritual knowledge or worldly glory or riches. And not knowing this is what makes you directionless. So the first step has to be to clear away the dead leaves from your heart so that it can act as a guide and you know which direction you are trying to find. If you're ready, let's go for a wee walk through the woods near my home. I think a reason why a lot of people, and myself included, aren't always aware of being lost is that we go through things automatically, like in Colin Wilson's book, where he talks about the machine, the robot. Your body knows this path, and so it walks down it. Your hand knows where the cupboard handle is and opens it and pours in the same cereal. And you walk around the supermarket and you pick up the same products. And you go to work and you don't remember the journey there. And you don't remember if you lock the door because your body is performing routines and you can be lulled like a baby in the crib of the body. I don't remember if Martha Beck says this in her book, but for me, doing something new always has a bit of a wake up call. It sets a contrast with where I normally am and jolts me alive a little bit. It reminds me that, yes, there are other things and there are other ways that I can be. But some familiar places have their uses too. They can act like touchstones, places where you can return to yourself and your deepest knowledge of who you are. And then it exposes the contrast with the rest of your life and helps you to see where you're out of alignment. Number two, emotional misery. Now, although this might seem fairly obvious at first glance, a lot of the misery that we experience in life, we attribute very easily and automatically to external reasons. And the reason that I'm not happy is because I had an argument at work, or because my partner is being selfish, or because I don't like where I'm living, etc., and so on. And you have the idea that as soon as that problem is solved, then also your emotional misery has been solved. And in some cases, I'm sure that really is the case. But it can also be a more diffuse feeling that you're really not satisfied when you try and attribute it to external things, because it's actually coming from inside and from the basic fact that you're out of alignment within yourself. Number three is physical deterioration, which is very often a consequence of neglecting to deal with the emotional misery that we saw in number two. And when things are not paid attention to, when the alerts, the emotional alerts are not addressed, then it seeps into the physical body and manifests as some kind of chronic condition, perhaps. I also think that there's something called acte manqué in French, where you can have an accident and that accident expresses a feeling that you have about a situation. So you want to go, you say you want to go somewhere, but in fact on that evening you twist your ankle and you can't go. And in fact, your body set you up for that in order to get you out of it. So I'm going to have to take a bit of ownership on this one. Number four is consistent relationship failures. So clearly there is something inside which is not connecting, because when you connect to the right person, you also connect to a fundamental and deep part of yourself. If that's not happening, then it could be that there's some kind of internal split, meaning that what you're presenting to the world is in some way false, because you think you need to be a certain way in order to be liked. You could be people pleasing. You could be trying to fit in with a social ideal that says that you must be married or that you must be in a committed relationship, when actually what you're looking for is independence. You really need to know what it is that you want if you want any relationship to succeed. And obviously, we've all got weaker and stronger points, and for some of us, it's career. And just an inability to be in the right place at the right time with the right people doing something that is meaningful and that you're actually good at. And then, of course, everyone's favorite problem, self-medication, which isn't really a problem when you're in the act of self-medicating. It's delicious, it's intoxicating, it's fun, it takes you out of yourself. You deserve it. And I'm going to argue a little bit in favor for this, because I was just thinking when I started talking there about the people that I saw running in the park when I was shooting this video, and thinking, well, I bet they don't go home and drink wine, or too much wine anyway, or eat kilos of chocolate. And maybe they do actually. But if they don't, let's say they hold themselves to a high standard, well, maybe they're lost deeper in a wood because they're actually in the grip of a good girl or good boy syndrome, where they're not even conscious enough of their misery to need to self-medicate. Just a thought. So the first step that Martha Beck recommends is saying it aloud. And you might feel cheesy, but if you want to do it with me, then go ahead. I'm lost. She talks about the body being an instrument of truth, and I fundamentally believe this and have done for a long time. How does muscle testing work? How do lie detectors work? Why, I used to think when I was a child, why did criminals confess? Because of that sweet relief. When your body and your mind and your spirit and your heart, they're all aligned and in one state, that is so peaceful. And so you can be in a painful situation where you have a breakup or you leave a job or something ends and it's sad, but you knew it was the right thing to do. And so you do feel peace, even in the emptiness. That self-confrontation, that looking in the mirror and seeing yourself and seeing what you do and seeing how you cope and saying, yeah, this isn't working. I'm lost. There's something off kilter. I need to readjust, is the way to readjust, or at least it's the first step in readjusting. And from that stillness, from that emptiness, from that stop or pause button that you press in your life when you say, shit, I'm lost, like you do when you're on a path and you just stop and look around you and go, where am I? You might think that that's going to be it, that you've actually just wrecked your life, but no. But that's when surprises happen, and that's when magic can happen, because you have stopped time, you've stopped the program running, and a space can open for something new and unexpected and paradigm shifting to happen. You might remember things and places and people that you haven't thought of for a long time, and they strike an idea and give a sense of a direction. And you might see like these dead leaves, the past lying there, and gently returning to nothing, and see the beauty in that too. And what were great fears are now these brittle leaves, these little shreds of time past. And you're able to relativize and think, I've done this before. I've changed direction before. I've been lost and found before, and I can do it again. Because I too am like the seasons. There are dead periods like winter, but there is the spring and the summer and the autumn. And it goes round and round and round, and I accept all of that. And that's why I can walk through the streets of the old city, which is not my city, it's not my birth city, and feel the beginnings of a sense of regained peace. A door will appear, a door will open, maybe only a tiny fraction, but the light will appear and you will know where to go. But for now, this is just the first step.